Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and my space. For those of you who are new, my name is Raquel. So glad to have you here. And for those of you who are returning, thank you so much for clicking on another one of my videos. I greatly appreciate all the support that you show my channel. This is a video that is a long time coming. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, wanting to put it out there to the public because I have been studying astrology for about 2 years now. And when I first got into it, I noticed how overwhelming it was. It was completely overwhelming. You get this chart and you see all these these symbols and, the wheel and all these lines, and you just don't know what to make of it. And because I am that type of person that needs to figure things out, I am very I love to investigate things. I love to learn new things. I found it overwhelming, so I put it to the side for a while. And then about 2 years ago, maybe a little over 2 years ago, I really pulled it out and dived back into it, wanting to learn astrology. And as I went down the rabbit hole of learning astrology, there's lots of bits and pieces of information out there. And when you're trying to learn it, it can be all scatterbrained, all over the place. So for the past couple of months now, I've been figuring out how to make astrology easier for the average person to learn. So I'm going to do a series of videos on here to teach you the basics, the fundamentals of astrology, because you want to learn the basics first. And when I was thinking about what video to start with, I decided on the planets, because planets are the energies that are linked to everything. So I decided to do the planets first. Now, after all that bibble-babble, let's just get right into it. Let's dive right into it. The planets, when I look at a chart, I see the planets as people. Because when I look at people, I can really see their energies. I can read their energies. I'm really good at that. So when I was learning astrology and I was learning about the different energies of each planet and what they bring to the table, I decided that I was going to make them as people. And when I get into the energies of the astrological signs, when I do my tarot videos and, I get into the planet's energy when I do my astro readings, I really, feel them as people because we carry the same similar energies. All of us have all of these planets in our chart, so we can tap into any one of these energies at any time. So let's go with the first thing that you need to know about planets. All right, so if you do not have your natal chart, I have put a link in the description box below so that you can get your free natal chart. You need your exact birth time, your exact birth location, in order to get an accurate chart. And then this will give you your rising sign and all of your other signs too as well. I think most of you already have your birth charts, but I like Astro DNS because that's just the one that I personally found is more accurate. All right, so introduction to the planets. Your rising sign sets your whole entire birth chart. It shows where the planets are in each house, what zodiac signs are in each house at the time of your birth. So your rising sign, that is when you first came in to this world, okay, what sign was on the horizon. And the ruler of that sign is your planet chart ruler. It is your main planet. So look in your birth chart. see what you are, and as I go through each planet, I'm going to name what zodiac sign is attached to that specific planet. All right? Okay, so we're going to hop into the first one, and on your birth chart, you'll notice that there might be a circle with a dot here. I think most of us already know this. I don't have to show this symbol, but for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to show it. This is the symbol for the sun. So this would be your sun sign. Whatever it falls in, whatever zodiac sign it falls in, that's your sun sign. Now, the sun is the ruler of the 5th house, and the sun rules Leo. So if you are a Leo rising, then your main planetary ruler, chart ruler, is the sun, if you're a Leo rising. But anyway, okay, so we're going to talk all about the sun right now. The sun is, when I think of it as a person, I think of it as God. And the reason why I think of it this way is because we all have that divine light within us. We all have that God-like light in us. The sun is your inner self, your inner desires, your inner, it's your soul, it's your destiny, it's your purpose. Okay, it's the innermost core of your being, and that's where your confidence comes from. That's where your passions come from. That's where your drive. That's where everything comes from. Is the center of your soul. So when I think of the sun, I think of God, which is your soul. All right. Okay, so the sun, like I said, rules the sign of Leo, and it also rules the 5th house of fun and games, what we desire, what we find fun, our habits, you know, everything that makes us up. That is our soul. Ooh, hold on. Why didn't it? I'm a terrible artist, but now we're going to move on to the moon sign, and your moon will look like a little half-shaped moon in your chart. The ruler of the moon is Cancer, and it rules the 4th house. Well, the moon rules Cancer and the 4th house. All right. So with the moon is our emotions. It's how we emotionally process the things that come at us in life. You can tell a lot about a person by their moon sign. Depending on where the moon is in your chart, it will also tell you a lot about your mother as well, because we are emotionally attached to our mothers in one shape, way, or form, because emotions, they can be good and bad. So you are attached to your mother because your mother is the person that brings you into this world. Your mother is the one that nurtures you as a baby, or doesn't nurture you as a baby, and your moon ends up in Capricorn or something like that. But anyways, so your moon sign tells you a lot about your mother. And it tells you about your emotions, how your mother affected your emotions, how you deal with your own emotions, how you process your own emotions. And like I said, the moon rules over Cancer, which is all about nurturing, loving, caring, giving. And the 4th house is home, so all about your home. So this is why I'm talking about, like, planets. They can, if you understand the energies of each planet, it's easier to understand the energies of each zodiac sign and of each house. So the moon deals with your emotions, everything water-based, and how you process that. It deals with your intuition. It deals with that gut innate feeling. You just know something's going to happen, or you just had a feeling about something. Your intuition is also tied to the moon. So the moon rules the intuition, your emotions, how you nurture yourself, how you nurture other people, how you take in everything from the world. And that's your moon. So, moving right along with Mercury. Now, Mercury, right here, if you see this symbol in your chart anywhere, this is the symbol for Mercury. It rules Gemini and Virgo, and it rules the third and sixth houses. So that's what it rules over. It is known as the great communicator, okay? Now, when I see Mercury as a person, I see either, like a librarian or maybe a therapist or maybe a teacher, somebody who is a good communicator, maybe somebody who does telemarketing or something like that along those lines, because Mercury is all about communication. It's all about your early education too, like when you're starting to learn something and you're looking at all the little fine details. It's about putting those fine details together and communicating it in a effective manner. It deals with your mind, your logic. It's very, very it's very analytical, very, very like thinker, logic, how you solve problems. It also is how you communicate with your siblings, how you communicate with maybe the people that you work with on a daily basis, anybody that you communicate with on the daily, because it does rule the sixth house. Now, when it comes to health-wise with Mercury, it rules mental health. So any mental health issues could come up in here with Mercury, depending on where it's placed in your chart. And like I said, it rules Gemini, so it deals with like siblings and how you communicate with your siblings. Early education, analytical, the thinker. Okay, the knowledge absorber, the creator. It creates too as well, because if you think about it, logic, thoughts, ideas, your mind, it's a very creative place. So it's also your creativity as well. So this is Venus. If you see a symbol like this in your chart, anywhere in your chart, that is Venus. Venus rules Taurus and Libra, and the sixth and the seventh houses. Now, with Venus, Venus is all about love. It's all about wealth. It's about not really wealth. It's about like what we have, our possessions, what we value, how we value ourselves, who we value. It's about, indulgence. It's about beauty. It's about creativity. So when I think of Venus as a person, I think of like the Greek goddess or gods or whatever, Aphrodite, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Eros, E-R-O-S, but I think of that as Venus because Aphrodite was like one of the most beautiful, like woman, gave love, inner beauty, outer beauty, right? So, wherever Venus is in your chart, it can show you what you value, what you love, who you love, what it is that you put a lot of stock into, things that you find morally right for you, what is, because of self-value and what we value, it can also, link in with our morals. This health-wise, it relates with the reproductive system. It relates with the liver because of overindulgence. Venus loves food, loves to party, loves to entertain. It's got that Taurus-like energy as well because it wants a beautiful home, wants the nice things, wants luxury. Okay, Venus is about luxury. Likes to lap it up in the life of luxury. It also rules your heart. It also rules your heart too, because your heart is like where your heart chakra is, which is love. So it rules the heart as well. It rules the second house of values and possessions and what we value, and it rules the seventh house of relationships, who we value in our relationships, who we want, or and it's not just love relationships. It can be work relationships, family ships, friendships. It's what we value in all of that. All right, so Mars right here. If you see this symbol, it's got a circle. It looks like a little arrows coming out of the head of it. This is a symbol for Mars, wherever you find it in your chart. Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. Well, it co-rules Scorpio, but we'll get into that later. And then it rules the first and co-rules the eighth house. So that's Mars. And Mars is, when I think of Mars as a person, I think of Mars as a soldier. Like I actually picture a soldier in my head when I'm getting into the Mars-like energy. It's very impulsive energy. It's the action taker. It's where we get our impulsiveness. It's where we get our drive. It's where we get our passion. It's where we get our spontaneity. It's where we get our fighting spirit from. This is where we get that bravery to start those projects, or to start something, or to initiate something. Mars is the great initiator. Loves to start getting the ball rolling on things. And if you think about it, it rules the first house, which is where we come in at life. That's where we start. So it's like where, it's the start of things. Mars likes to start things. Sometimes, depending on where it is in your chart, Mars likes to stir the pot. Just saying. With health-wise, Mars rules the head. So anything from your head injuries, stuff like that, that can also play out depending on where Mars is in your chart. Anything to do with your eyes, your ears, your brain, your not your speech, because that's Mercury, but anything to do with the head, that's what Mars deals with. It rules Aries, and it's a co-ruler of Scorpio. And if you take both those signs, those are fighter signs because they have Mars as their ruler. All right. So let me know in the comment section below if I'm confusing you yet, or if this is working out. I'm going to continue going on with these. I am going to get into these planets in a little more depth later on when I do each planet as their own video. But this is just kind of an introduction, trying to get you started on feeling the different energies of each planet. So Jupiter, if you see in your chart, you see a sign like this. It's different for everybody. Like I said, this is Jupiter. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces in the 9th and 12th houses. It co-rules Pisces, and it co-rules the 12th house. So don't be too intimidated by all this, because as I go over the houses and as I go over the zodiac signs, and the more I go over it, the more all of these energies you will get. So that's why I'm introducing what signs they are and what houses, what signs and houses they rule. Because the more I say it, the more we'll get into, you'll be subconsciously picking it up. All right. So Jupiter, when I think of him as a person, I think of him as the jolly uncle. The big, fat, jolly uncle that you go to for advice maybe, or who is always optimistic, who is always fun, who is always carefree, who sees the bigger picture. Because Jupiter sees the bigger picture. Wherever Jupiter is at in your chart, you can expect expansion. Expansion is a big thing when it comes to Jupiter. Also, it rules luck, beliefs, your belief system, what your beliefs are, long trips, vacations, stuff like that. It rules higher learning. So if you're going to go to college or if you're seeking a degree, what you're seeking your degree in, wherever Jupiter's placement is, it can tell you a lot about that. Also, it's about, enlightenment. It's about spirituality. It's about your belief system as a whole. And whatever sign that it falls in and whatever house that it falls in, you can find expansion with that energy that's already in that house. So like me, for instance, I have Jupiter in my first house, but I also have Uranus there. But usually people with Jupiter in their first house, they're either extremely skinny or they're extremely overweight, or they are overweight. They have a tendency with weight issues. But because the first house is all about your body. It's about your body. It's about, your personality, your sense of self. But wherever Jupiter is, it expands. So like say it's in your house of possessions, it's going to expand your possessions. You might have a lot of possessions. You might have a lot of luck when it comes to money if it's in your second house. I am going to do each planet through the houses and, to give a better description on it, but you can just expect that wherever it is, it's going to expand that energy and that area of your life. Like I said, it rules Sagittarius and the 9th house, which is all about your spirituality, your beliefs, your higher learning. It also rules Pisces and 12th house of the in-between, or the spirit, what's hidden. So, and it co-rules there, but we're going to get into that later on in other videos down the road. But yeah, so that's basically Jupiter. Where's Jupiter at in your chart? Okay, so we're moving on to Saturn. So if you see this symbol, it's a cross with kind of like a little offshoot right here. That is Saturn. Sometimes it looks like it almost looks like a 5, depending on what chart you're looking at. In Astrology, it looks like this. This is Saturn, and it rules Capricorn and co-rules Aquarius, and it rules the 10th house and co-rules the 11th house. So this is Saturn for you. When I think of Saturn, I think of the strict father. It's a malefic planet, which just means that it's a little challenging. Wherever you find Saturn in your chart, you can expect challenges to happen in your life. If you think about Capricorns are the goat. They climb the mountain, they get knocked down, and they have to climb back up again. They have to work through things, rearrange things, but they always get back up and they keep going. That is what Saturn does. It's like the strict father that comes in and tells you, if you're having problems with your homework and you just want to give up, Saturn's like, nope, you can't give up. You need to rework this. Otherwise, you're not getting to go to the movies. You know what I mean? That's how Saturn is. Very strict. It provides structure. It's very serious, very stoic energy. Wherever you find Saturn in your chart, that can also tell you about your father. So like, for instance, I have Saturn in my 12th house. My biological father up and abandoned me when I was young. 12th house is all about what's hidden, the things that you don't see. But what I find interesting is that I did have a stepfather that was very much a big part of my life, and he was a Pisces, and Pisces rules the 12th house. So, like I said, wherever you find Saturn in your chart, that can tell you a lot about your father. It also can tell you where you're going to be challenged the most, where you're going to really have to work hard to complete your tasks in life. So that is one of the things. Saturn is a hard worker, a workaholic. Let's get down to brass tacks. That's the type of energy that Saturn brings. It brings a sense of duty, having to stick to a routine, having to finish what one starts. If we're talking health-wise, Saturn rules the skeletal system and the muscles as well. Because if you think about it, that's what we use when we work hard, on a daily basis, okay? So that's basically, Saturn wants you to strive to be the best in that area. That's another thing. Wherever you find Saturn in your chart, that's the part that is going to be the most challenging in your life. Those are where your challenges are. That's what you're meant to overcome. And that can also give you a sense of what you're meant to accomplish in this lifetime. Now I'm going to talk about the outer planets, okay? These are planets that were discovered recently in history, and they aren't part of the ancient astrological system. They're a part, but we incorporated them when they came in. And these outer planets, they're malefic planets as well, but they're meant to bring change to the world. When these outer planets were discovered, lots of things happened around that time. Like when Uranus was discovered, it brought about the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution was happening around the time that Uranus was discovered. And when I talk about Uranus, you'll understand why. But, they came in at a certain point to impart change on the world. And this, even though they're malefic and they bring these sense of mysterious vibes, like, whoa, where did that come from? Or why was that hidden from me? Or, oh my God, all is ending. They bring those types of energies here so that we can change our world. And if you think about what we're going through right now, there is some Uranus placement, or Uranus, however you say it, placements when it was transiting the sky around the time that all this broke loose. There was astrological things around that as well. I'm not going to get into it in this video because of the fact that would take me forever. That's actually should be a separate video, but so many other astrologers touched on that I don't want to touch on that. So I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below. Okay, so now we're going to go on to Uranus. So Uranus, if you see a symbol like this, it's like two half moons going opposite ways, a line, and then it looks like a comet, kind of like a bell almost. Maybe it's a bell. I have no idea how they come up with these symbols. But anyway, so it looks like this in your chart. And it co-rules, this is why I say co-rule. It co-rules Aquarius and the 11th house. So, with Uranus has that unexpected energy. It brings that unexpected energy. So when I think of Uranus as a person, I think of like a mad scientist, somebody that has ingenious ideas, because it's all about being ingenious. It's about being innovative. It's about forward thinking, future forward. Inventors. I think of an inventor as well sometimes when I'm getting into Uranus energy. It's spontaneous. It's unpredictable. It's innovative, revolutionary, future forward, lightning ideas. These are this is the energy that makes up Uranus or Uranus. It is very unpredictable. So it rules accidents. If you are a person who has, I know because I'm using my own example here, I have Uranus in the first house, which is all about your body and your sense of self. I am clumsy, very, very clumsy. And I find it interesting that it sits in a fire sign, because it sits in Sagittarius, and I am constantly accidentally burning myself here and there, and it's been like that my entire life. I mean, I don't even feel burned when I get burned now, because it's just something that always happens to me. But it rules accidents. So wherever it is in your chart, it brings that spontaneousness, that innovative thinking, that future forward thinking, could bring accident prone. If it's in the sign of Aquarius, it's really powerful because it rules Aquarius. If you have Aquarius in the 11th house with Uranus, that's a powerful placement. That's like inventor-like placement. Uranus is also a humanitarian. It likes to change up the monotony. It likes to I'd say it's like that kind of person that will say things for shock value. That's the type of energy you're working with when you work with Uranus. And with the 11th house, it's all about global scale. So it's about, networking. It's about the internet. So if somebody has, like, if Uranus transits, the 11th house or whatever, there could be accidents with the internet. I don't know. But that's basically the energy of Uranus. But it causes these unpredictable things so that change can come out of it. So if you see a symbol like this, kind of looks like a trident or a pitchfork, in your chart. In Astrology, I think it's a little bit, it looks pretty much the same, except these things are like spaced further apart. But Neptune rules Pisces and the 12th house. Now with Neptune energy, when I think of Neptune, I think of it like that hippie type of, like, hippy dippy vibe, like dreamer, like everything's gonna be okay, like in self-denial almost. And I also think of a magician, like an illusionist, like the one that I'm sorry, the one that shows you something, but it's totally not what it's showing you. And it's known as the Great Deceiver. It's in charge of cover-ups. It's in charge of escapism. It's in charge of dreams, like what you're dreaming about. It's highly intuitive. Intuition also comes into play with the energy of Neptune. Like I said, it does rule Pisces in the 12th house, so there's a little bit of a dreamer-esque like vibe there, a little bit of that hidden like vibe there, like you don't know what is there. It has to deal with, the 12th house is all about spirit, and that is what Neptune embodies. It embodies what is hidden, what is covered up, what we can't see with our eye. So anytime I see Neptune in a chart, I mean, it does have good and aspects to it as well, but it is a malefic planet. I apologize. It is a malefic planet, though. So, it's bringing about, wherever it is in your chart, it could highlight an area in your life where things might be hidden from you, or you might have a hard time with that area of life because you're not seeing the big picture. You're not seeing everything that you need to see. There are things that are hidden from you in that area of life. So that's the energy of Neptune. So we're moving along. There are, for Pluto, depending on the chart that you get, or depending on your natal chart, there are two signs for Pluto. Some, it looks like a P with a line underneath of it. Astrology, that's how they do the Pluto in their charts. For others, I have seen it like the circle and then the arms right here or whatever, this thing. So it depends on what chart you're using. But Pluto rules Scorpio and the 8th house. Now this, when I think of a person, I don't really think of a person. I think of that bird, you know, the phoenix, the one that rises from the ashes. This is because Pluto is known as the great destroyer, the atomic bomb, the thing that totally comes in and destroys everything so then things can be rebuilt from the ashes. It rules death. Basically, its purpose is to change things up, to destroy what's not working, and so then that way we can rebuild what will work. It's a generational planet, and when I get more into having, when I do each, because I am going to do each planet its own separate video later on in the summer, and when I do that, I'm going to really get into the generations that go along with Pluto, because Pluto is a generational planet. It moves through, it takes like 10 years to move through a sign. 10 to 12 years, I think it's 10 to 12 years to move through a sign. So, like, okay, so when Pluto was in Virgo, and now if we take Virgo's things, you know, needing to be orderly, needing to be sense of duty bound, sense of, you know, nature bound, that's how Virgo is, very nurturing. Around that time was the baby boomers and the hippy dippy age, and that is where, you know, Virgo was or Pluto was in Virgo. It was a generational thing. So everybody of that generation has Pluto in Virgo. Everybody of my generation has Pluto in Libra. So like my husband has Pluto in Libra, my best friend has Pluto in Libra, but it's a generational planet. And what it is designed for is that generation has to transform that certain energy for the world. That's basically what it is. I'm going to get into further detail on that, like I said, when I do the Pluto video. But Pluto, it's not really hard to understand Pluto. It's all about transformation. I guess I understand it a little bit more because I'm a Scorpio rising, so it's my ruling planet. Along with Mars, because Mars and Pluto both co-rule Scorpio. So, but yeah, Pluto is just all about transformation. If you are a Scorpio rising, you have a lot of Plutonic energy within your chart. If you have Pluto as your chart ruler, that means you're a Scorpio rising. If you have, you know, Pisces as your rising sign, Neptune is your ruler. If you have Aquarius as your rising sign, Uranus is your ruler. If you have Saturn, or if you have Capricorn or Aquarius as your rising sign, Saturn's your ruler. If you have Sagittarius or Pisces as your rising sign, Jupiter is your co-ruler. If you're an Aries or a Scorpio, Mars is the ruler. If you are a Libra or a Taurus, Venus is your ruler. If you are Gemini or Virgo rising, then Mercury is your chart ruler. If you are a Cancer rising, the moon is your ruler, your chart ruler. So it all depends. I mean, these planets, they have the similar energies with the things that they rule. So knowing the energies of these planets will help you out in the long run, learning the zodiac energies and the house energies. So if this was not too confusing, if it helped you in any way, shape, or form, please give it a like, drop a comment down below. If you have any questions, I will be sure to answer them. I also am putting in the description box notes, like keynotes from this video, so then that way if you want to go ahead and write it down, you can. I'm trying to make these as simple and easy to learn as possible. Like I said, if I know that I gave the houses and the zodiac signs that correlate with the planets, but I feel like if I put that over and over and over again in each video that I do, it'll be a lot easier for you to retain it, because you're hearing it over and over and over again. But you're hearing it in different ways, I guess, is what I want to say. It's fun. It's a fun thing to learn, and I hope that this video is well received and well liked. Like I said, I have 6 videos that I am doing on this and that I'm going to launch. I'm probably going to be wearing the same thing because I'm doing it all in one day. But anyways, if this did help you out in any way, shape, or form to understand the planets, please let me know. If you have any questions, I will answer them. So make sure you drop them in the comment section below. Well, until my next video, the next video I'm going to do is the zodiac signs. So if you have any, if you're having a hard time understanding a certain zodiac sign, be sure to watch that video. That video hopefully will come out on Friday. Yeah, and until then, stay safe and stay kind to each other, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.